the original size of the Love Quilt block, and we did a tutorial on that. This has like an X and an O for like Valentine's or for love or whatever that might be. We are actually going to do a tutorial on making the smaller Love Quilt block today, and we are using the pattern, the Live Well Live Strong quilt pattern, that is typically designed in the 60 by 60 inch size, which is what this is for. It also, you can make blocks that are not all of the bright colors, that are more of a tonal color, and you can also use negative space with your quilt so that your quilt can be full, king, queen, or twin. And then this time around for our sew along, we are also making the foundation paper piece version. Hi Liz, it's so good to see you. So the paper piece version is 20 by 20 inches, and that is what we're doing today. Is we're going to be making this as a foundation paper piecing. So let's go ahead and get started on the Love Quilt block, and it's so good to see you guys. We have got some great things going on here, and I'm so excited about our week that we get to just focus on love and all of those kinds of things. So I'm going to go ahead and change my working camera so that you can see the overhead view of how I'm sewing. The Love Quilt block that we're working on just today is for foundation paper piecing. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to use a foundation paper piece pattern. The pattern will look something like this. I always print my pattern off on, oops, I don't want to lose something, newsprint paper, so it's a little bit lighter of a paper. Hi Linda, how are you? It's so good to see you guys. I love it. Both Liz and Linda in Canada. So let me know where that you have joined us, where you're from. Be sure to say hi. I love to see all of you guys, and I love to chat and all those kinds of things. So actually, let me move this so I can see your chats a little bit better. So anyway, so let's go ahead. So this is what your Love Quilt block pattern will look like. You can see it has 3 different units. This is section A right up here. This is section B right here, or I'm sorry, B right here. So these ones are exactly the same. Hi Laura, and hi Jane, how are you guys? It's so good to see you guys. I just love it. And then right here, there are 4 sections to this block. There's section C and section D. So I wanted to go ahead and print this off because I've already started sewing this, so the video tutorial doesn't have to be so long, right? And so let me go ahead and flip the camera, and I'll show you the pieces that I have down here. So on my cutting and my sewing and my working space, I have little hearts because this is the Love Quilt block. So here are the 4 pieces, A, B, C, and D. And I have cut mine apart from the paper and put it onto newsprint. So let me go ahead and maybe if I turn this over, you can see this a little bit better when I have this, say, upside down. So you can see these are your 4 pieces that you would have. And I already went ahead and sewed together section D because it's exactly the same as section C. So we'll just go ahead and sew one of these. So there's that one right there. And let's go ahead and turn this one over. Well, that's what that one will look like. And then I've already sewn this section right here, which is section B. Oh, yep, that's the way it goes. So, you know what? I need to flip this around. I apologize, you guys. But that is, you know what? I will lay these out properly. But let's go ahead and get sewing on here. I want to show you that before you cut your pieces apart, because it is a little confusing seeing them cut apart, go ahead and transfer the colors that you want to have on here. So typically, and actually I kind of sewed this wrong. Your red, and this shows you how I sewed this wrong. Look at this. So the red this little 4 squares should be twisted in the middle. Let me show you right here. See how the quilt block is doing the red all the way across and then the pink all the way across. So you want that effect with this. And you can see on this one, I didn't quite do that right, but I can easily unpick this and fix that on this little sample right here. So let's go ahead and bring this over. So this is the way you want your quilt to look like, and this is, you know, this is sewn incorrectly. But what you want to do is go ahead and lay this out and then put your pieces here. So you want your reds to go in one diagonal, and you want your pinks to go on one diagonal. So go ahead and put your pieces, your color of your fabrics that you're using. You guys are going to be using different ones. I know, Mary, I love all the pinks too. So I know that this color, this lighter color right here, for me is peaches and cream because, you know, I buy this fabric by the bolt. So unfortunately, I know my solid colors. Okay, so that's what that looks like. Now, let's go ahead and get to doing the foundation paper piecing. So on this piece right here, we have A1 and A2 are our first two pieces to start with. So A1 is this lipstick color right here. So I'm going to lay A1 on the back of the paper with the back of the fabric. Now this is a solid. And then I'm going to do A2 is the peaches and cream, which is this lighter pink color. And I just kind of cut mine into strips. You guys see I always do that. And I'm going to put these right sides together on the back of the paper, just like that. And the pink is hitting the A1, which is actually this color right here, that lipstick color. So I'm going to go ahead and put this underneath the sewing machine, and I am stitching it at a 2.0 stitch length. So, and now we're going to go ahead and take our next one. So here, a C1 and C2 are red and lipstick. So I'm going to go ahead and take a piece of fabric red, and I'm going to put that behind this. And then my next section that I need there is lipstick. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over and put these right sides together. And if I fold this down where that stitch line is, I know I've got about 1/4 of an inch seam or a little bit less because these are really small little blocks. So let's go ahead and just stitch those two. And we're only going to stitch on that dashed line. We don't need to stitch way over or anything like that. So let's go ahead and stitch these two, and I'm string feeding these just to kind of speed things up as I'm sewing together. So as quilters, we always like to, you know, kind of make things a little faster, but if you find foundation paper piecing a little tricky, you can just do them one at a time, each part. Okay, I'm going to bring over my pressing mat. I'm going to open these up so you can see there's my lipstick, there's my peaches and cream. They're stitched together, and I'm going to press this with my little small iron without any liquid or starch. So no steam, no water, no starch. I have these open. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on this other little square component right here, and we're going to just press that open right like that. And we've got both of those looking good. So we've got those built together. We are now going to set aside the pressing mat, and I'm going to go ahead and trim these on the cutting board. So let's go ahead, and I'm just using this rotating one because sometimes it can be a little easier for me. And I'm going to trim these on the edges so I can still see the lines and kind of trim back the excess fabric that I just don't quite need. Right here, I'm going to add this peaches and cream color to a piece of red because I've got an R right there. So I'm going to just use my little piece of cardstock, and I'm going to fold back on the dashed line that I'm going to stitch on, and then I'm going to give myself about 1/4 of an inch of fabric, or slightly less. So then I've got this one with peaches and cream. I've got it ready to sew that red right to it. Let's go ahead and grab that red piece of fabric. We could take this one right here, and I'm going to line those up right sides together on the back of the paper. So let's go ahead and go like that, and I'll go ahead and stick a pin in this so I remember what I'm stitching as I'm getting ready to stitch. And I'm going to stitch along that dashed line. I'll set that one over here. On this one, you can remember I sewed this little piece together. Let's go ahead and clean off the edges that we just don't need. So I'm going to go ahead and use my little ruler and my little rotating mat. I'm going to turn this around because it's just less for me to have to work with as I am building these blocks out. And I'm going to clean off this edge right here because it just makes me feel like it's nice and clean, right? Now, this is where we're going to take, we've got lipstick red, and now we're going to add peaches and cream over on this side. But before I do that, I am going to go ahead and, hi Bernadette, it's good to see you. I'm going to go ahead and bring my piece of cardstock up, and I'm going to fold back this this part of the foundation paper piece pattern so that I can clean off this excess side and get myself some, like a 1/4 of an inch seam there. So you can see now I'm ready for that to 1/4 inch seam to be my peaches and cream. Let's go ahead and just lay a piece of one of the strips of the light peaches and cream, that light pink, and I'm going to line that up right like that. And I'm going to just stick a pin in it so I remember which direction to sew my fabrics, right? So with these, we don't need to necessarily match up points, but as we're string feeding, it feels pretty good to do that. So Bernadette, it must be pretty hot, pretty late where you are. And Jane, it must be pretty late where you guys are right now too. What time is it over in Europe? What time is it for you guys? So you guys are so sweet to pop on over from overseas. I just absolutely love it. And I love having you guys join me. I really do, but I'm curious what time it is for you when you are overseas. Okay, so I went ahead and I string fed those. Now we're going to just go ahead and sew these pieces together. So let's go ahead and disconnect these pieces that have been string fed. So it is 7 o'clock p.m. where Bernadette is. Okay, very good. And I wonder what time it is, Jane, for you. I cannot remember the time difference. So let's go ahead and press this open. So we've got a nice unit. And I'm going to go ahead and trim these down so I can sew them into the other ones. Okay, we'll set aside my cutting mat. And I'm going to set these pieces aside right here. And I'm going to bring this over. And I'm going to go ahead and trim off this excess fabric right here. So this looks like just a perfect little block. I try to keep the solid line, not cut off that little solid line there. It makes me feel like I know that either that one's cut right or it's not cut right. So you can see how nice that patch looks. And we're going to sew these together with the other patches right here. So these are already sewn, and we're going to just put these 4 pieces together and we will have our block finished. So let's go ahead and clean off this side right here. All right, turn that and clean off this one. And I feel like I might have a little nick in mine. Jane says no, it's almost 7:15. Okay, Sherry says it's 12:12 on the East Coast. I love it. And so here it's right around noon 12 or 12:12 for me, or 2:12 is what Sherry said. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get this set up. So we've lined up our Love quilt block so we can really kind of see that XO. I mean, this looks absolutely darling too. Either way is absolutely perfect that you decide to put your block together. So let's go ahead and put these together so you can see I've got my 2 reds going right there. I'm going to bring this red right up here so I've got this red a diagonal coming. So you can see the red diagonal and the pink coming. Now we're going to sew these 2 center ones together, and we want to match our seams in the center, the seam allowance right there. So let's go ahead and match those up, and we'll stick a pin in it, and then we'll sew those 2 other little, they're almost like little sashing pieces on there. Hi Laurie, it's good to see you. Okay, so now let's talk about love, you guys. Is anybody looking forward to Valentine's Day, or is Valentine's Day something you dread? I have, you know, everybody feels differently about different holidays, but I just appreciate Valentine's to be able to let those know that I love, maybe send them a little package or do something special if I can't see them. I'm going to go ahead and sew. So right here, I could press this right now, but let's go ahead and press this for one moment. It's not smart to assemble these without a good press here. If you really wanted to, you could press this seam open. That's just up to you guys and kind of how you prefer to sew. It's totally up to you. But you can see I've got this right here. Let's trim off some of this excess thread. But I really believe in love. Don't we? Don't we believe in love? And just loving unconditionally and really loving others is something that can increase our own inner wellness and not being resentful of others or feeling angry with others. Anger is just not a fun feeling. Okay, so I went ahead and I matched these so that I'm matching my side blocks here. So we want to love unconditionally, but one of our next blocks that are coming up is the boundary quilt block. So we want to love unconditionally, but with boundaries. So we can love someone unconditionally, but we can set healthy boundaries in a relationship, right? But it doesn't mean that we don't love them unconditionally. So, and we want to kind of love people without setting strings. And we can have not strings attached, but we can set healthy boundaries. Okay, you can see that side's all attached. Let's go ahead and set this one. And you can see when we match these up, I want to make sure I've got this the right way, right? Right like that. So let's turn it this way because we still want those reds to go in the right direction. So I'm going to match these up and we're going to go ahead and put that right like that. And then you can see here on both sides, I have, when I made this pattern, you've got a 1/4 of an inch dash line right there that's a stitching line. You have it on this side and you also have it on this side. But by putting those together, it helps you know that you're matching that 1/4 of an inch seam there. So keep an eye. Yeah, love is patient, love is kind. Jane, thank you so much. You are so right. We need to be patient with others because nobody is perfect on this earth. And we all have frailties, and we want to be patient with others, and love is kindness too. And in the world, we need as much kindness as possible. And we definitely want for people to feel that kindness. Yes, because God first loved us unconditionally, and he instructed us to love others. I absolutely believe that, Cheryl. You are so right. Okay, let's bring this over. I finished this cute little guy, the little love quilt block for the 20-inch by 20-inch Live Well, Live Strong quilt. Isn't that just so sweet? So you can see how these quilt blocks, I messed this one up. I sewed it wrong. I don't have the X kind of factor there. It's still a darling quilt block, but I will probably unpick this so that I've got my colors going the right way. But you can see when you're foundation paper piecing how exact you can sew things together and you don't have to worry about as many things. So you can see how that works there. Okay, let's flip the camera around. So you guys, I love you guys all so much. It is so fun to sit here and sew with you guys. When we are sewing these little quilt blocks, this is for the love quilt block, which is right, where is the love quilt block? Right here. So the love quilt block is right here in this little sampler that is 20 by 20 inches. And I can't wait to have this hanging on my wall as just as something to remember all the different aspects of wellness that I need to kind of embrace in my life to have the best quality possible. So remember, I've got some fun things for you guys. I'm going to offset this with some hearts because when you put these together, it actually is an Irish chain, this type of block, and you have a repeating pattern with it, and we're going to offset it with some hearts on either side. So I will share that with you probably on Friday or whenever. Our next quilt block will be the Grow quilt block, and then we'll be working on belonging to communities and having boundaries. So I love you guys tons, and I will be back on Friday at noon, so be sure to turn on your post notifications. And I can't wait to see you guys. If you need the Stitches Quilting Live Well, Live Strong pattern, go ahead and go to stitchesquilting.com. I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.